A break in Baghdad. Saddam finally agrees to free UN inspectors. President Bush announces a major shift in U.S. nuclear arms strategy. And a deadlock on the Thomas nomination. What happens now? This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. Good evening. It's the middle of the night in Baghdad, and the 4-day-old standoff between UN weapons inspectors and Iraqi troops apparently is over. Saddam Hussein evidently has backed away, if not actually down, and is allowing the UN team to walk out with the evidence they collected about Saddam's nuclear weapons program. A short time ago, I talked by telephone with the leader of the UN team, David Kay.
The Iraqi side has agreed to the conditions set by the Security Council, and we are free to leave this car park as of now with our documents, with our photography, and with our videotape.
Ms. Kay, I know it's sometimes hard to tell, but is it your impression that this is now over, that it's finally all over?
Well, I think this particular episode of the car park is over. How much more is over? I've spent 6 weeks in Iraq over the last 3 months, and those are the type of predictions I simply no longer make. We will test it by continuing inspection activities over the next week to 10 days, and we'll see.
Was anything conceded to the Iraqis in order to get this settlement?
Nothing, certainly nothing of principle. The documents remain fully in the control of this inspection team. The decision about what documents go or what might stay in any inspection effort has been recognized to be a determination solely by the team, the International Atomic Energy Agency in this case, the UN Special Commission. The same is true for videotapes, magnetic media, and cameras. So as far as I'm concerned, we gained exactly what we intended to when we said we wouldn't leave this park without them.
The showdown in Baghdad took place with the U.S. military threat building in the background. Correspondent David Martin at the Pentagon has more about the outcome. David?
Well, Dan, it certainly sounds like that interview reflects that the UN got everything it wanted, but U.S. officials cautioned that with the Iraqis, it ain't over until it's over. In fact, the Iraqi foreign minister just a few hours ago gave a speech which sounded as though the Iraqis are still not willing to part with all those documents seized by David Kay and his team of UN inspectors.
He also wanted to seize the personal files of the personnel working in the field of energy that has their addresses and photographs and social status. This has no origin in the Security Council resolutions and goes beyond the inspection team missions.
Additional UN inspection teams are gathering in Bahrain, ready to go into Iraq, among other things, to supervise the destruction of Saddam Hussein's supergun, built to hurl an artillery shell as far as Israel. And the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff said again today the U.S. would not stop until all Saddam's weapons of mass destruction are destroyed.
We're having a great deal of trouble with the residual components of his nuclear weapons program and his chemical weapons program and his biological weapons program, but we'll keep punching away at that.
The Pentagon has suspended its plans to provide armed escorts for UN helicopters sent in to inspect Iraqi weapon sites and is concentrating instead on plans to launch airstrikes if Iraq tries again to interfere with the inspections. General Charles Horner, the architect of the first air war against Iraq, is scheduled to leave tomorrow for the Persian Gulf to take command of the planning. Dan, officials at the UN are still trying to work out a final agreement under which UN helicopters could fly wherever they want in Iraq. But even if an agreement is worked out on paper, this confrontation over UN inspections is going to drag on until the last of Saddam's nuclear weapons program has been dismantled.
David, thanks. President Bush will address the nation tonight. A speech his aides say is not political, has nothing to do with the re-election campaign. They say it will mark a turning point in America's overall defense strategy. The president is expected to announce sweeping cuts in U.S. nuclear arms. Susan Spencer is at the White House.
President Bush, well-known lover of secrets, was only hinting today at what aides say will be a speech unveiling the most radical shift in defense policy in 40 years, a shift prompted by equally radical changes in the world.
We need a smaller, more agile, more flexible active force, one ready to meet likely contingencies worldwide.
Among Mr. Bush's expected bombshell announcements, the pullout of all battlefield short-range nuclear weapons in Europe and elsewhere overseas, both land and sea-based, and the destruction of all land-based tactical weapons. Most of those at sea, where the U.S. has a big nuclear advantage over the Soviets, will be taken out of operation as well. Furthermore, this all will be unilateral. The president will call on but not require the Soviets to make reciprocal cuts in their short-range nuclear force, so-called SNF.
The situation has developed to the point where for Europe we might consider a total ban of all SNF, not only U.S. Soviet, but total.
As for long-range weapons like the American MX, Mr. Bush is expected to announce that the U.S. will cut to the levels of the newly signed START treaty on its own, again without reciprocal action from the Soviets. In outlining all this cutting, the president is not planning to unveil any big peace dividend. Perhaps because, as he will emphasize, the administration thinks the trade-off here must be the full implementation of Star Wars, space-based defense, and the controversial long-range B-2 bomber.
Military challenges to democracy persist in every hemisphere. America must always be prepared to defend our hard-won freedoms and safeguard our own national security.
White House spokesmen say that other Western leaders have greeted this news with enthusiasm, and none with more than Soviet leaders Gorbachev and Yeltsin. But they've made no commitments for matching cuts to match what the U.S. will say it is going to do tonight, Dan, at least not yet.
Susan Spencer at the White House Live. Thanks. CBS News will bring you President Bush's address tonight live at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Now, most of the weapons President Bush is ready to scrap are relics of the Cold War era in Europe. Jim Stewart has a report on one class of nuclear warheads now destined for the dump.
There are over 7,000 of them still in the U.S. arsenal. Short-range, so-called tactical nuclear weapons that come in the form of missiles, artillery shells, and bombs dropped from a variety of aircraft. Able to hit targets from only 20 to 80 miles away, they were designed to slow down a massive Soviet invasion of Europe by exploding directly over advancing troops and tanks. But the Soviets are pulling out of Eastern Europe and taking with them their own estimated 15,000 tactical nuclear warheads, which for months now has begged a very obvious question.
If we're not going to use these weapons against the Soviet Union, which no longer appears to be in any sense a military threat to Europe, what do we need them for? Against whom are we going to use tactical nuclear weapons?
The U.S. has them spread all over the globe, from Europe to South Korea, making them a security guard's nightmare. And the same is true for the Soviet Union, where troops began moving many of the Kremlin's tactical bombs out of rebellious republics after violence broke out there.
There's a lot of concern that we don't know the extent to which those things are guarded, and if civil war breaks out, the troops that guard those forces, which side are they going to be on?
Both sides, too, appear to have perfected their longer-range ICBM rocket systems to the point that there's no need for anything older, smaller, and less reliable.
Now we have greater accuracy, so at even the longest ranges we can hit pinpoint targets with lower yields, and therefore the long-range systems can do what the tactical systems were supposed to do.
The bottom line is that short-range nuclear weapons have long been considered more trouble than they're worth. Once removed from the scene, both sides could turn their attention to the strategic rockets still aimed at each other's heads. Jim Stewart, CBS News, Washington.
And straight ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, the Clarence Thomas nomination, a surprise as it goes to the Senate floor, and silent inspiration from football's new hero, the handicapped.
Domino's just what you're into. Domino's just where you're at. Just made fresh whenever you call. Domino's, you like it like that. Domino's just what you're wanting when you pick up the phone.
Domino's pepperoni pizza feast. Yes.
Nobody knows like Domino's how you like pizza at home.
Domino's Pizza's pepperoni pizza feast, loaded with extra pepperoni and cheese. Now a medium's just $8.99 or two for $12.99.
Domino's how to turn you on. Domino's how to make it hot.
Nobody makes pizza fresher, because we don't make your pizza till you make your call and deliver in 30 minutes or less, guaranteed.
Domino's, just what you want, so go pick up that phone.
Order Domino's pepperoni pizza feast now.
Nobody
President Bush said again today he has no doubt Clarence Thomas will finally be confirmed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Even opponents who consider Thomas a representative from the far right agree. All of this follows a surprising split vote on the Thomas nomination in the Senate Judiciary Committee. The committee turned out a 7-7 deadlock. Law correspondent Rita Braver reports.
Clarence Thomas was upbeat as he left home this morning.
I'm just going to hope for the best.
But his first news was bad. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Joseph Biden took to the Senate floor to announce he would vote against Thomas, fearing the nominee would join the court's far right wing.
Rulings deemed unthinkable just a decade ago may be on the verge of becoming reality. I wish Judge Thomas had put to rest my misgivings on that score, but as I already indicated, he has not.
And in the committee, the opposition hammered away, especially on abortion and civil rights.
If senators buy the view that Judge Thomas, as a member of the Supreme Court, will approach Roe v. Wade with an open mind, there's a bridge in Brooklyn they might also like to buy.
President Bush made a cynical choice in selecting Clarence Thomas, believing that no white liberal could vote against a black man. I said then that this white liberal would have no problem voting against a black man if I believed that man would erode and erase the hard-won individual rights and liberties the court has protected.
But Thomas's backers accused white liberals of demanding litmus tests for minority nominees.
Unless you belong, unless you work and are part of that liberal plantation, your ideas and your thoughts and your ability and your experience and your pain and your history of growth means nothing.
I think this nation needs someone who knows what it's like to get your hands dirty and work your way through school. I think this nation needs someone who knows what it's like to struggle.
Mr. Kennedy?
No.
Mr. Metzenbaugh?
No.
Mr. DeConcini?
Aye.
But on a 7-7 vote, the committee refused to recommend Senate confirmation of Thomas. Instead, the nomination will go to the full Senate with no recommendation, and the final vote is expected within the next few weeks, Dan.
I think a lot of people don't understand, why does the nomination go to the Senate floor when it was a 7-7, in effect, defeat in the committee?
Well, it's up to the senators, and in a case like this, politically, they do not want to look like they're holding a nominee hostage, especially in a case like this where Thomas is expected to be confirmed after a big floor fight.
Rita Braver, thanks. In many of our nation's cities, the weekend can bring a surge in violent crime. In Houston these days, as Scott Pelley tells us, the weekend is coming early and staying late.
In Houston today, another bad shift on the homicide beat.
The two boys were bound together.
A father and two sons executed last night, the latest in a citywide epidemic of murder.
You're seeing a lot of more of what we would call whodunits. In other words, where you've got a body, but you've got nobody, no suspect readily attainable.
So far this year in Houston, there have been almost 500 murders. Police say at least 1/3 of those are connected to drugs. But many of the other killings are being blamed on what critics call the state's revolving door prison system. Thousands of prisoners are walking because the system is overcrowded. Victims blame politicians.
Let them send all of those prisoners into their backyards and into their neighborhoods. Maybe then they would begin to be worried.
Houston has risen to the nation's top 10 of murder, ranking 6th behind such cities as Washington, New Orleans, and Detroit. Murder has become the #1 political issue here, threatening Mayor Kathy Whitmire's campaign for a 6th term.
We've already added more than 700 police officers to our force just during my administration.
Among voters and victims, there is a sense the city is out of control.
They called me early yesterday morning and told me that I don't have a daughter anymore. And that's so hard.
I've never been a violent person. I've never carried a gun or anything, but I thought about now going to get me a gun.
Today, the mayor opened a new police office, but the chief of police says she needs much more, including a bigger budget and more officers to retake the streets in this city under siege. Scott Pelley, CBS News, Houston.
In Washington, D.C., former Mayor Marion Barry was resentenced today to 6 months in prison for cocaine possession. It's the same sentence he was appealing. He plans to appeal again. Stay here with us now for more CBS News, including Eye on America. Tonight, why some workers who want to leave their jobs keep hammering away.
Farragran wants to know. Changed my life. Not much. With Farragran M multivitamins with minerals, fine-tuned for the way you live.
1 in 4 adults faces the risk of heart disease from high cholesterol. A diet low in saturated fat and cholesterol with Fleischmann's Extra Light can help change those odds. Fact is, no leading spread is lower in saturated fat. Another fact, 0 cholesterol. And on top of everything, it tastes good. Fleischmann's Extra Light.
It's the one, the only Red Lobster Fest. It's the only time each year when we serve up lobster a dozen luscious ways. Our most delicious lobster at our most delicious prices. But only now during this special event. It's the one, the only Red Lobster Fest, starting at $8.99.
Red Lobster for the seafood lover in you.
Now try lunch on Sunday. Most items $4.99 or less.
Morning, lady.
Trying her for murder would be easy if she were only one person. What do you mean, if she were only one person? Tune in Sunday and find out.
In Eye on America, something called job lock. Workers who want to leave their jobs but can't because they need the medical insurance their employers provide. Bob Faw concludes our special series on health care in America, a matter of life and debt.
After toting pastrami sandwiches for 6 years, Henrietta Evans wants to switch jobs, but she's afraid to. She has health insurance now, but she also has cancer and knows that getting insurance from a new employer would be virtually impossible.
I feel like I'm a hostage. I feel like I'm the victim who's being victimized.
Emo Corrente feels the same way. He considers his premiums highway robbery, but when he looked for other policies, he found almost no one would insure his longtime employee, Brian Regan, who's got skin cancer.
Gentleman has been with me 30 years. I'm not sacrificing him. That's not a viable option for me. I just feel betrayed. Somebody's let me down.
And Emo Corrente isn't the only one who feels that he has no options. In a recent CBS News New York Times poll, nearly 1 person in 3 said they would hang on to jobs they would like to change, mainly because they don't want to lose health insurance.
What you're telling me is that across the country, 30% of the people are scared to death about their health insurance. I believe that.
That's been your own experience?
Yeah, absolutely.
Alan Adams' premiums soared, partly because insurers started charging him and his fellow contractors on the basis of age, not their medical history. And partly because his wife Cindy has asthma, a so-called pre-existing condition for which insurance companies charge more.
As it stands now, you're being held a kind of hostage because of your wife's condition.
That's correct.
You feel trapped?
Absolutely.
Stymied?
Yep.
Nowhere you can go?
Just plain locked in.
It's not just us. It's anyone in a small business or sole proprietorship, anything like that, any family. And they're all getting hurt.
For millions of Americans with jobs, then, it's a kind of double whammy, feeling either locked in, or for small businessmen like Emil, feeling gouged. Barbara Shea, who helps area contractors find insurance, has seen some of their premiums skyrocket 150%.
They don't have an option but to stay with what they have because no one else will offer them anything.
And pay through the nose.
And pay through the nose, or go without insurance, which is really frightening in this day and age.
I fear the illness in itself. And now I'm burdened with worrying that maybe I won't be able to go to a hospital and be taken care of properly because I can't afford insurance. That's frightening.
What is also frightening is the trend. Each year in the last 3 years, the number of workers without health insurance has climbed 750,000. That's each year. By 1994, according to one survey, 1 worker in 4 will lose health insurance.
When we survey, Americans say, gee, the people without insurance are the poor and unemployed, but that's not my case. Well, it turns out Americans don't understand it's all working people that are losing their insurance.
As millions lose coverage and those with it are buried under an avalanche of insurance claims, everyone in the healthcare controversy keeps busy blaming everyone else for the soaring cost of medical care.
We've got to do something about our administrative costs. Doctors and hospitals have got to look at their costs as well. It is not an easy solution, and there is no magic bullet answer.
We have a survey we've done of small businesses who say if their costs rise, a share of them are just going to drop their policies. So next year's television show will just have a larger number of people to interview. There's nothing going on in this country to solve this problem.
And because there isn't, a lot of hardworking Americans feel they're at a dead end.
I'm just angry. I'm angry what's going on. I mean, I'm disappointed in the system. I mean, I'm an all-American working person who always believed in the system until the system failed me. And I feel like the system is failing me now.
Bob Fall, CBS News, New York.
You know, there's two things I do pretty near every morning. I eat a bowl of hot Quaker oats, and I go for a good walk. Now, the oatmeal really sets me up. It's piping hot, pure nourishment, sends me off under a full head of steam. And stays with me. Helps keep me going. I can pretty near keep up with this dog. And then when I get home, I roll through the morning like a prize bull. Quaker oats. It's the right thing to do.
Where do you want to be next year?
You know, I don't plan to be a partner in this firm forever. In fact, I've been doing something on the side that could be very rewarding. I have an offer to work full-time with some kids. Pays $11,000 a year. Now, how can we restructure my portfolio so I can tell them yes?
You can get there from here with Shearson Lehman Brothers.
I knew something must be wrong. I was getting these sharp pains and sometimes pressure and bloating. I'm glad I asked my doctor. He said it was gas and recommended Mylicon.
Mylanta's Mylicon Gas. It has the best medicine for gas.
These days, there are more pain relievers than ever. But last year, more people switched to Tylenol gel caps than any other. Extra strength Tylenol gel caps. Concentrated, powerful, easy to swallow. Join the switch to Tylenol gel caps.
The Braves and the Dodgers, a pennant race going down to the wire. See Atlanta battle Houston or Los Angeles face San Francisco Saturday.
You know, sometimes actions speak louder than words. Correspondent Bob McNamara tells us tonight about a man whose actions speak volumes to those who cannot hear.
In the mania and mayhem of pro football, Kenny Walker is the odd man in. He is deaf. The roar of the crowd, not even a whisper to him.
No, it doesn't matter.
If you can find some key.
If you can find some key, you can become successful.
Deaf since age 2 from spinal meningitis, Walker became an honor student and college All-American. And now a Denver Broncos rookie, he chases success in a complex game of signals and strategy. His hearing in the hands of Guy Smith.
I basically just sign whatever's being said there by whoever. It's just hard sometimes because there's 2 or 3 coaches yelling at the same time.
Here's a guy that's had a dream as a kid, you know, and has overcome a tremendous handicap, and I appreciate that.
Still, Denver coaches had doubts about even drafting Walker.
Actually, I really was against it. Because I anticipated insurmountable problems.
A lot of times they talk about deaf and dumb.
A long time ago they talked about deaf and dumb.
40 years ago.
It was like 40 years ago. It's still the same today.
Back he goes. He's hit, fumbles the ball. Kenny Walker is the man who got the sack.
Though Sunday's hero can be forgotten by Monday, Walker's become a symbol to deaf teenagers facing odds he understands.
So deaf people can do it. I proved that.
In the eyes of young Ronald Dawson, deaf since birth, it is Walker's example that now drives him and the other players at Colorado School for the Deaf and Blind.
You try to steal Kenny Walker's job, Will?
Yeah!
Yeah! Why not?
They come away with a belief that anything is possible. And it's something that's not occurred to them in their lifetime.
But little victories or large ones. Kenny Walker's success will not be complete until he's judged for what he can do, not for what he can't. Bob McNamara, CBS News, Denver.
And that's part of our world tonight. Bob Schieffer will have the news tomorrow for you. Don't forget 60 Minutes on Sunday. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News. I'll see you Monday. Good night.
When I first saw Sarah on the library steps, I swear it skipped a beat. When Don Larson was one pitch away from a perfect game in the World Series, it stood perfectly still. On that awful day in '63, it felt like it was in the pit of my stomach. And that incredible moment when we all took one giant leap for mankind, it nearly burst with pride. But last year, when the doctors told me my heart was failing, and without a transplant I wouldn't last 6 months, that's when it stuck in my throat.
A year ago, the Prudential created the Living Needs Benefit. Now, the terminally ill could collect their death benefit while they were alive, and they could use it for anything their heart desired.
Now that I'm alive and well, I think of the donor. I think of his family, and naturally, my heart goes out to them.
For information, call 1-800-654-ROCK.
In the spirit of the Olympic Games, the Postal Service would like to present two-day priority mail. That's delivery in just 2 days of up to 2 pounds for just $2.90. Remember, 2 days, 2 pounds, $2.90. 2-day priority mail from your Postal Service.
We deliver for you.
Official sponsor of the 1992 Olympic Games.
40th floor today. What if my diarrhea comes back?
Relax. He took Imodium AD.
Just once.
Imodium AD caplets often work in one dose, unlike the old standby.
Hi, hon. I feel great.
Imodium AD, the choice for one-dose relief.
These days, there are more pain relievers than ever. But last year, more people switched to Tylenol gel caps than any other. Extra strength Tylenol gel caps. Concentrated, powerful, easy to swallow. Join the switch to Tylenol gel caps.
Touchdown, what are you going to do? Good. All right, come on. Yeah, you good? Let's have fun.
The people of CBS News. Dan Rather.
Connie Chung.
Mike Wallace.
Paula Zahn.
Ed Bradley.
Leslie Stahl.
Harry Smith.
And Charles Kuralt. Experience.
CBS News.
This is CBS.
It's your Dodge dealer's goodbye clearance on 91 Dodges, and it only lasts for the next 10 days. So hurry before your Dodge deal goes bye-bye forever. So buy now and get big savings. Dodge Shadow America for as low as $64.99 if you're a first-time buyer. And that's before any available dealer discounts. But best buy now before all the good buys on 91 Dodges go bye-bye forever at your participating Dodge dealer's goodbye clearance. Bye-bye.
The latest Calvin Klein sexy ads on Entertainment Tonight.